Hello and welcome to Miniage Painting. Today, I have another special video for you all. I have printed 3 versions of my most recent Dungeons & Dragons character to try and paint him in 10 minutes, 30 minutes, and 1 hour. I've seen this challenge go around a while back, and now I'd like to throw my hat into it. Before that, I'd like to thank everyone for the success of my most recent video. Thank you so much for your comments and advice on how to improve. I appreciate it greatly. Hexaldri is a Kobold Bladesinger wizard from a Dragonlance campaign setting. He has been the most fun out of any character I have ever played. He is a little agent of chaos, and I love it. The color scheme I am going for is similar to that of a blue dragon. Blue scales with yellow crests and plates. He was trained to be a Bladesinger by elves, so I gave him a green tunic. I also gave him a shoulder cape for some added flair. I like purple, so purple it is. For a timer, I am using my switch. The models were made in Heroforge, and the paints I am using are all from the Citadel brand. Let's jump in for 10 minutes. Okay, this was a little daunting for me. First time I've tried this, and to help myself, I have laid out all of the paints I will use for the first 2 challenges. The first color I am using is Macragge Blue. I am going to rush through the base colors for this step, as I don't think I'll have much time for anything else. Okay, spent a bit too much time on the blue there. 1 minute 30 seconds down. Moving on to the green. Deathguard Green is the color of choice for this. I wanted the green to be nice and bright. This was the choice for a single coat coverage. Though it was a bit spotty, I think I used a bit too much water. Brown Leathers. Rhinox hide is the color of choice for this. Nice, deep, and rich brown color. The book, pants, straps, belt, and I think I put this on its tunic cape thing. I'm not going to do that with the next parts. Well, looks like I forgot his tail. Let me just get that real quick. Okay, purple coat. Naggaroth Knight was used for this. I had to take him off the base in order to paint the bottom of the cape. Unfortunately, I pushed on him wrong and snapped the end of his sheath off when putting him back. I'm glad I did this to the 10-minute one instead of the hour version, but it still sucks, and I'll glue it back on later. The horns were base coated with some wraithbone. Switching back to Rhinox hide, I recovered some parts that I missed. Now, with 2.5 minutes left, I switched to my metallic brush and started to apply the Iron Hand steel to the sword, the tip of the scabbard, and the orb on his side. With a minute remaining, I gave the eyes some yellow with Everland Sunset, and the toenails some color with Dark Reaper. I then used my final 20 seconds to try and clean up some of that blue that I missed, or needed to touch up. 10 minutes went by faster than I had thought. This was a fun challenge, and I enjoyed pacing myself in this way. It definitely helped to have all the paint already on the palette, and a clear color scheme picked out. I'm glad I chose not to try to do the yellow plates, as I figured that would just end up looking spotty and not great. I'll try that for the 30 minutes though. Deep breath for focus. Let's do this. 30 minutes, go. Starting the same way as last time, I went with the Macragge blue and base coated all of the scales. This time, I felt like I had a lot more time to make sure I got a solid coat and to not miss that tail. Three minutes go by and I'm starting on that green. I'm not too terribly worried about time here, as I want to really make sure that I can get a solid coat on here. I'm going to use green for that end of the cloak that I painted brown last time. This just brings the whole piece together more. Sometimes painting the same thing 3 times will give you more insight as to the best way to paint something. Who knew? Nearly 2 minutes later, I forgot the sword hand. I really need to stop missing parts if I'm gonna keep doing these challenges. Mistakes happen. Let's paint that cape with some Naggaroth Knight, carefully removing him from the base in order to get that underside. I know of the pitfall that happened last time. I also want to use this purple color elsewhere to tie it into the character some more, so I'm going to apply this to the trim of his waistcoat. Good old Rhinox hide was up next as I'm finishing off minute 8. Being more careful here, I made sure that I base coated everything that I wanted to be that brown color. A quick pass of Naggaroth Knight to reinforce the purple trim, a reinforcement of the blue, and I can put him back on the base. Now it was time for the horns. Same as last time, I am using Wraithbone for this. I am using this rather thickly as Wraithbone tends to need a few coats, but I don't think I have too much time for that. 17 minutes, 50 seconds on the clock. I start on the yellow plates. For this, I am painting the head crest, spines on the tail, plates on his hands, and the ridges on his feet with Averland Sunset. I also applied some to the snoot to see how I liked it. Probably won't do that for the hour version. Hexaldri the Yellow Nose Kobold. Just a bit of cleanup with the brown and Wraithbone because I actually had more time than I thought, and I'm left with 11 minutes and 30 seconds as I go for the metallics. Same as last time, I'm using Iron Hand Steel for this. However, this time I'm going to apply this to the buckles around his belts, and on his tome as well. He also has a little necklace that I am going to hit with a bit of metallic as well. With 9 minutes and 40 seconds remaining, I realize that I have way more time than I thought. So I'm going to use some Nuln Oil to try and shade all over with. This wasn't in my original plan, as I intended to not have too much going on with the first 2 challenges, but I feel confident in my ability to do this. So let's slap the liquid talent on here. I forgot to do his eyes. So let's wick away some of that Nuln Oil and throw some sunset into those eyes. At this point, I have 6.5 minutes of work time with him before my time is up. So let's add a few highlights. Starting with Naggaroth Knight, I'm going to apply this to the top of the cape. Now let's bring some of that bright blue back with that base Macragge. Paint up his toes with that Dark Reaper from before. And let's grab some more sunset for the highlight on the plates and tail. And maybe a little bit of green for the armor. I'm going to water down a bunch of that Macragge blue and glaze it into his orb. I feel like that'll add a bit of magic to the object. With a minute left, I'm going to spend this time reinforcing the blue highlights. And time. Well, I had a bit more time than I originally thought. That's interesting. Altogether, I am pretty happy with it, and I think that if I were playing in a new campaign with a character that I hadn't really met yet, I would be happy with something like this. But I've played a few sessions with Hexaldri, so let's let him start off with the narrations for the final part.
Hiya, my name's Hexaldri, but you can call me Hex. Everyone does. Either way, here I am going from a plain old mini to the fabulous and colorful wizard that I am. 1 hour on the clock. Starting now. Okay, so this first part is going to be where he paints all my scales that nice blue color, called McCrag. I think that's a Space Marine world or something. Neat. Don't mess up and forget to paint part of me like you did with those last clones. Okay, so here's the first part that makes me superior. You switch to this color, Nocturne Green, for my obviously superior robes. This is because you plan on actually highlighting this time? That is darker than the original Death Guard green, so I hope so. But we're sticking to that Rhinox hide for the leather. What's a Rhinox? Can I eat it? I wonder if it burns well. Do they look like Buko? Oh, they don't know Buko. Buko is one of my friends. He's a turtle. They're turtle people. Hey, watch the staff. Yes, everyone loves the purple cape. That is Nagaroth night color, right? So awesome, and not at all too flashy. Oh, here's another change in the status quo. He's using Xandri dust as a base for my crests and horns. That adds a little bit of depth and makes it look like there are parts that are in shadow. I can't believe you forgot to do the trim of my waistcoat. And you mixed blue instead of the solid purple. Oh well, at least you fixed it. While you're at it though, do the trim of my pants too. I like the purple. Okay, 20 minutes in, and we're doing the first highlight. He's going to take some Wraithbone and apply this as a glaze to the top half of my horns. But the important part is that you have the transition be a bit jagged, like the spike pits of the tunnels back home. Also, paint a bit of this onto my eye, so I can actually have some sclera instead of just being an iris. Now he switched to a smaller brush with a finer point to start with the yellow. He's taking Everland Sunset and making points that drag away from the darker corners of the scale plates. This mimics textures and gives you more visual difference. What? I may be a kobold, but I am a wizard. I studied color theory more than this guy did. Indecision is a painter's nightmare. Just take some Obshanti bone and add it to the Everland to make a slightly brighter highlight for the panels. This will only go on about half of the previous highlight step to bring a bit more light into it. Now what? Oh, you're taking some Baneblade brown and making some scratch highlights on the leather. That's clever. Heh, I made a rhyme. Also, Baneblades are like super tanks, right? Can I have one of those? Can you imagine me in one of those? Oh, that'd be amazing. I'd rule the world! Yeah, that armor deserves some nice definition. Take some Warpstone Glow and highlight each individual square of the fabric on here. That should look really nice. Do you think Sophina likes green? She is a wood elf after all. And a druid to boot. Oh, but she's one of those star druids, right? Ooh, you need to take some moot green and highlight that even more. I want my armor to pop and be really bright. The forest reminds me of the time that I spent training with the elves. They taught me how to blade sing after Ispin Greenshield told me about the outside world. Oh, hey, You're finally doing the blue? He's starting with Calgar blue as the first highlight. But he doesn't know this will be a brighter color, that he'll have to fix it. Do you think Ispin knew what he was doing when he made it past all the traps in the Kobold den and didn't start killing all of us? Man, he was a crazy good adventurer. But now you're going to have to go back and fix what you did. Paint some Hochef blue onto me so I don't have just two-tone scales and create some more definition. Anyway, Ispin died recently, so I have to go to his funeral. But that's where I met Buko and Sylphina. They're cool. Wow, time flies by fast. 17 minutes and 45 seconds left, and you're doing a second highlight on the top portions of my horns. This is to help reinforce the color and make them look more alive. Now take some Corvus Black and heavily water it down to make a glaze. This is going on my broken horn and the shadows of my cape. Breaking my horn really hurts, you know. But I guess a kobold's life is never easy. Learn where the traps are, or you're bound to get hurt or die. Now you should paint my eye, but make sure there isn't any dried paint on the tip, as that could cause the paint to go where you don't want it, and that's never fun. I can't believe you painted the clone's nose yellow. Take that Corvus Black and use it on my nose. My claws need a little bit of TLC as well. Use some of that Dark Reaper. 14 minutes left and you're only now just doing the metallics? I guess too many mica flakes in the paint water could contaminate the rest of them, so it makes sense to leave that for last. Either way, you need to get that iron hand steel onto my rapier, my amulet, all the metal of my cane sheath, and the buckles. Don't forget the buckles! Brass Scorpion is going onto the guard of my rapier, the handguard of my cane, as well as the pommel of my rapier and the cap of the sheath. Finally, some Stormhost Silver is being applied to the edges of my rapier and some points on my necklace. Well, we got 7 minutes left. Why not take some blue, no, not Macragge, you've got Calgar there, and glaze it onto my orb. That'll look really nice. What to do with the remaining 6 minutes? How about taking some of that Corvus Black and reinforce the shade of my cape? Okay, 5 minutes. Where's the white? You should highlight that cape. Use the white scar and put some scratches on the highest points of that cape. Now take Screamer Pink and glaze it over that white. What you're left with is some very nice magenta highlights for the purple. Don't forget to blend some of that original Nagaroth Night back into the edges of the pink in order to make a smoother transition. Now you can use your time going back and forth with the pink until it looks nice. Alright, time's up. I have to get back to the strange situation that has come up after the funeral. Bye!
Hex is a lot of fun to play on the tabletop. Yes, I do use that voice when I play him, because it just adds to the wow factor. But either way, we are finished with the painting, and we have Hexaldri in all of his glory. Now let's get to some grand reveals. I seriously want to thank each and every one of you for watching, liking, and subscribing to my channel. I enjoy reading all of your comments and criticisms on how I can improve my videos on YouTube. Thank you all so much. I've been Miniage Painting, and I hope you all have a wonderful day.